watching American Trends. I'm Mary Burt-Godwin, and I am excited to have friend of the show, Dan Negroni, back in our studio. Welcome back, Dan.
Thank you.
Business coach, speaker, consultant, CEO of Launchbox 365. All the things.
Is it okay to still say Happy New Year? Like on the,
I do.
Okay, Happy New Year.
I think we're kind of past the day, but we haven't seen each other, so Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I'm glad you're back in the new year.
I'm glad I'm back too.
Talking new trends. The first thing I want to talk about, on previous segments you've been on, we've talked about the 4-day work week and or people working from home and the flexibility that COVID kind of gave to a lot of people. Now, I just was reading that Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, which it was...
Right, he was former CEO, now current CEO. He came back to save them again.
To save them again.
Yeah.
Because, well, I'll tell you, one thing that's good that I read is that they're decreasing the price of tickets. Because the previous guy, or the one in the middle, jacked up everything. I was like, I'll never go back to Disneyland. That's way too expensive. So he is bringing tickets prices.
They're trying to really cater to the customer experience and the audience, which is what Disney's about. That's their... that's who they are.
That is what they're about.
Yeah.
But we've talked about, making your employees happy. And so now he's coming out and saying, you got to come to the office 4 days a week, no matter what.
Everybody wants one of the most popular things for everyone of all ages since COVID is the flexible work week, working from home. And so, nobody wants to be in the office 5 or probably 4 days, but he wants them in the office because he believes that connection creates great results and great productivity, which he's right.
So I agree with that, actually. I love the flexibility of working from home and I get a lot done. I'm very productive. However, when you're in a creative environment and you're doing something that...
Stuff happens.
Yeah. And there's so much that can happen in a room when people are together brainstorming versus on Zoom or just in your silo by yourself.
I mean, look, I'm the consummate extrovert. I love being around people. I love teams. And I think we need that at times. But we don't need it all the time. And the question is, what is the right balance to make people feel like they have a work-life balance and yet have all that great stuff that happens when we're in person together happen. Right. And so we're working towards figuring out what the middle is. I don't think it's 4 days, but we'll see.
Yeah, I wonder how, I didn't do a deep dive into, is it Monday through Thursday, 8 to 4, or what is the parameters?
Yeah. I mean, some people actually like 4 10-hour days.
Right.
Not necessarily in person, but that's way better. You get a 3-day weekend every weekend. I think, it's about flexibility. And, we have a big client, Lexus. And so in the car dealerships, people have to work on weekends. They have to work at night. And not everyone wants to work every night and every weekend. And so we have to figure out what are great flex schedules that serve it, especially when car dealers are trying to attract young talent to the sales or to be service technicians or guest experience experts. So, it's everywhere. It's not just at Disney.
Yeah, and I would like to see how it pans out for them. I mean, they're the primo place to kind of test it out.
Well, they have a great brand. People love to work there. It's kind of Google-esque in its kind of affinity to other jobs or future careers. And so, we're going to see what happens. We'll see. If he can do all the other stuff to make people happy and still give them flexibility for doctor's appointments, sick kids, stuff like that, it may work fine.
I do think that's a big part of it. Like what you're saying is flexibility to say, hey, I can't make it in today for XYZ reason. Okay, cool. You got to pass.
Yeah.
You can.
It's on demand, right? It's on demand. And the employee has to take it seriously because I know even through COVID, especially in states that are heavily regulated like California, if you have a sniffle, you're not allowed in the office.
Right.
So absenteeism is a big thing. So it'll be really interesting to see how it all shakes out.
Well, and then I wonder how many people, though, are kind of weaponizing that and be like, I have a sniffle, can't come in today.
Well, a lot of people, and from my client's perspective, a lot of people are.
Really?
And then HR is super strict about it, so they don't want an outbreak in the office place. So I think young people have learned the art of being absent from COVID or a sniffle. Right. Yeah.
But then,
when it really is a hangover.
Are they, are they able to, or are they forced to show a doctor's note or something, or can you even require that? I don't know.
I think that all goes into the culture. Okay. You can require, I think, a doctor's note and things in certain instances. I'm not exactly sure. In the state of California is kind of the toughest, for requirements, not to having requirements imposed on employees. However, it's about culture. It's about being human. It's about trusting people. It's about giving them the power to show up to work and do their job and really be respected.
Yeah.
So.
Which is what, we talk about that a lot, is respecting the employees, giving them a voice, trusting them.
Recognition, respect, engagement. I mean, they all go under the same funnel, which is, do you trust your employee and do you have their back? Is it safe for them to be honest and authentic?
Right.
Yeah.
How do you make it safe for them? What are some ways in which...
I mean, I think it's like something, it's interesting because I've been dealing with this actually all day with a particular client. I think it's a constant thing for leaders and managers to understand that it's their job to coach to make it safe. And it's not that they don't want to, it's just damn hard, and we get overwhelmed and we don't have the time for all the niceties and the great questions and the making sure everyone's safe, everyone's individual, different, it's personal. So how do you do it? With great difficulty. I mean, it's like being a great parent. We've talked about this before.
Well, I'm thinking about parenting as we're talking. I mean,
it's
sure, it's
totally,
coming in my mind is...
It's tough work to be on all the time, and you have to remind yourself, I own my stuff. I come to work prepared to lead and to deliver value to other people that work for me, and I'm going to make it a good place for them.
And one thing I think I saw on your Instagram feed was talking about that, making it a safe space, making people feel heard takes time.
Yeah.
It's not something that...
But you have to actually hear them. So that means you have to listen. You can't just say, I'm going to hear you, right?
Yeah.
You actually have to go through all the steps, and it's a lot of work, just like being a parent or being a spouse or in a relationship. Shit, you got to listen.
Got to listen, and then maybe not feel like you have to solve the problem right away, but say, I hear that.
Yeah, solving the problem's interesting. I've been working with this new theme of my opinion really doesn't matter unless it really helps someone else or unless they've asked me. So be careful not to give that much opinion. How do you give direction, supervise, teach people what to do, and not give your opinion? It's tough. It's a challenge.
And you're saying that as a supervisor or as a boss, as an owner?
Supervisor, boss, partner, right? Colleague, team member. It's just hard. People, people take things so differently. Right? That's my perspective, you hear people say, and it's challenging.
Right. And probably people take it as they feel defensive, that it's their fault or that it's their problem to fix, when really they just need to be heard.
Yeah, and 90% of the way people take things is usually about them.
Yeah.
And not about you. So you got to be careful of that too, and have empathy to understand they may have a tough life. They may have a sick parent. They may have sick kids. They may have broken up with their girlfriend. They may have gone out and have a hangover, right? Who knows?
Don't know. Right, we don't know what the other person's going
through. Anyway, so it's just, it's called being human.
Yeah.
And, being a great human all the time takes work.
It does.
It's discipline. Takes discipline.
Takes discipline, yeah. Okay, I want to change course here for a second because I saw something else on your feed where you were talking about Gen Zs. You had a photo or a video of another woman.
I loved it. Another coach.
Yes.
And she was basically saying that she teaches Gen Zs how not to be phobic of relationships and talking on the phone. Right. Specifically talking on the phone.
Phobia.
Getting over their fear of phone.
And I, honest to goodness, could relate to this because my children, when I hand them the phone to talk to grandma or somebody, they stare at it. They literally just stare at the phone. And I say, okay, use your voice, use your words. She can't see you looking at her. She needs to hear you. And they're like, hi. And they don't know how to engage.
Right, because they've never been expected to do it.
Right.
And technology and COVID have led them to be developmentally delayed.
Yeah.
When it comes to that. When it comes to connecting with people. And you know what I say to that? Get over it.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
Like, pick up your damn phone. I have very little sympathy for that. I'm like, really? They need a coach to pick up their phone? I mean, they got to have a real one-to-one with the mirror saying, who am I? I mean, get over myself. It is about being a human being.
It's but I honestly feel like there's this block that they don't.
It is, and so that's the thing. We have to be a little bit patient to understand they're developmentally delayed for a reason. It's not because they don't want to, it's because they don't know and they
don't know
haven't
how.
been comfortable. And so we have to have a little bit of patience, but just a little bit, because once you talk on the phone once, I think it's pretty
easy learning curve. Well,
we did it forever, right?
That's exactly right. I know. And so I practice with them.
Do you leave messages anymore? Have you left a message in months?
I'm really old school. Okay, I'm old school. For a few people in my life, I leave messages.
Well, maybe we should give them practice just leaving 10 messages.
Oh, yeah, I don't think my kids have ever left a message.
We should give them practice being what's called an SDR, a sales development, or BDR, business development rep, where they actually have to make 100 phone calls or cold calls a day.
I do think that because they rely so heavily on texting. And there's so many things I feel like in work, in personal relationships and business relationships that need to be communicated verbally.
Absolutely. And I still call my friends once in a while, and I'm not so sure they appreciate it. They'd prefer to text, but I just like to it's just so much easier to make plans.
Going back to human.
Yeah,
It's
to be
human.
a human. It's way more human for sure.
I agree. Okay, so Dan, where can we find you? What do you have? You have launchbox365.com.
Yeah, and dannegroni.com. We're doing a ton of speaking now, a ton of really fun engagements, and we're like booked. I think on Monday I'm out. Next week, the week after that I'm out. I'm out in the field.
Are you
with
traveling
people.
too?
Yeah. So
Where-
fun.
where's
fun,
the
fun,
biggest
fun.
city you're going to?
Nowhere really exotic like Europe, but Texas and
All right.
Toronto, Palm Springs, things
Awesome.
like that. Yeah.
We love having you here.
I love
Dan
being
Negroni,
here.
thank you so much. At Dan Negroni, or at dan.negroni on Instagram,
Right.
and at launchbox365.com. Business consultant, guru of the Gen Z
Millennials.
millennials.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. Everyone at
Thank
home,
you.
stick around for more America Trends right after this.